What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to take a look at a game of Storybook Brawl that definitely has a little bit more of a classic feel to it. And sometimes I just feel this way when I'm playing Merlin games, because with Merlin you're just kind of doing the same thing that Merlin has always done, just casting some spells and trying to get a strong board, play good tempo, and tempo is also really good on the current patch. Just the idea that you're going to play the best board for the current turn. Not really worry about the future, but in the future we are going to be building a huge Doombreath, which is also something that I haven't done in a while, and something that I don't think that I've looked at for a bit on this channel. Really nice shop here to get the Black Cat plus the Minotaur, and I'm going to lock onto the Shard of the Ice Queen along with the Cinderella, and that's going to make us really strong killing John G there. Nice little memento moment, and we will get a kitty cup purse off of that, and that's pretty strong for us too with the Labyrinth Minotaur. Now we'll have some additional econ, and that's just going to let us be pretty strong throughout this game. And yeah, I think that this game doesn't quite lend itself exactly to tempo strategies. We are going to be picking up some XP. That's how we're going to get the Doombreath and then grow that. But it's typically not something that you see as like an end game strategy. Just picking up a Doombreath, growing it with spells, and using that to control the lobby. But that's what we're going to take a look at in this one. So interesting board that we've got here. We've got the Wish Upon a Star and we've got 5 gold, but we also have 2 different pairs of units that we could potentially pick up to make ourselves pretty strong for the current fight. So I'm going to go with Vampire plus Tiny, and then I'm going to lock onto this shop. Maybe we'll go Romeo plus Lonely Prince next turn. Hopefully the Kitty Cup Purse can slay, and then we could pick up something like a 2-drop, maybe like a Mad Mim, to throw in this extra slot on the board, plus pick up this Wish Upon a Star. So very strong for right now in the game, and some good options to get stronger in the future as well. We're going to wind up winning this combat and slaying with the Kitty Cup Purse, so we will be able to pick up a 2-drop plus this Wish Upon a Star, or we could sell the Tiny and pick up the Spellweaver, which is just a really, really good unit on Merlin. We'll get to grow that with the Labyrinth Minotaur and with the Wish Upon a Star, and next turn, now we will be level 4, and we'll be able to start looking for like monster books to just play a really strong board on the next turn, and then we'll activate this Cinderella maybe eventually with some combination of like the monster books plus whatever we find in the shop. But definitely a really strong start to the game for right now. We are falling off a little bit this turn, but you have to remember it's only 3.1, so there is a small chance that we win this combat, though not super expecting to, but maybe, you know, with the pickup of the Spellweaver we could. We're not going to be so lucky. We are going to wind up losing this one. My opponent's got a pretty nice board here themselves, so we do lose, but we picked up an XP for not that much cost, and we're going to do the same thing this turn. I'm going to pick up the Lucky, then I'm going to pick up this Turkish Delight, and this is definitely not what you think of when you think of tempo. It's definitely more monster books. When you're typically thinking of Merlin games, you don't want to XP your way through level 4, you just want to roll for monster books, but there is something kind of interesting about XP on Merlin. We're taking down Cindy, we're taking up Spellweaver, and then we're also getting Merlin triggers. So it's not like this 9 gold that we spent gave us nothing on the board. It gave us something. It's just a real little bit of something, but something nonetheless. And it's also obviously giving us XP. There's huge power spikes right now on level 5, so not next turn, but the turn after, we will be able to start picking up some tier 5 units. Think we're going to get owned by Trophy Hunter here? Yeah, with a pair of mummies that are able to slay and stay against us. That is looking pretty gnarly, and then they've also got these sheep here to take us down. So we're going to take a little bit more damage, 7 damage from both of those combats for casting some spells, but I think we make it out of there pretty nicely, all things considered. 26 health, and we will be level 5 next turn. I'm going to pick up a Vampire, and then I'm going to go for Spinning Gold here. It flips the Cinderella, it grows the Spellweaver, and then potentially also gives us 3 gold next turn. Some interesting treasures here. Runestones I think is interesting, but especially right now, I think that Hermes Boots is so good. We could put Medusa in slot 1 if we wanted to. We have these Vampires and the Kitty Cup Purse, so I think I'll just roll with the Slay units for the time being. But as we get into the later game, the boots with the Medusa, we're obviously very clearly in an evil comp right now. We could wind up picking up just some evil tempo units on tier 5, like Cupid, Siren, Pigs, maybe 9 Sea Terror, that kind of stuff. And that can obviously all just be very good with having some boots. So don't mind picking that up. I'm not sure how this combat is going to go, but we do have this Medusa, and that's actually going to be enough to take my opponent out. They hadn't found Juliet yet. They were just a Miri playing a pair of Romeos. That's why I wasn't sure, but I was like, I don't think that they had a Juliet there, and they did not. Ancient Sarcophagus is a great pickup. Definitely got lucky on that one, and kind of makes me want to cast this Cat's Call, so I'll fire that off, and then think I make a mistake here. I go for the Spellweaver. I think that I should have just, and then wind up selling 2 things and picking up the Cupid. I think that I also want this Siren, and I don't actually think that this Spellweaver is that strong for us. We are probably going to cast a spell every turn because we're Merlin, but I think that we should have just taken the Siren first. It's just a bigger unit. It probably does more for us, all things considered. And we don't have a monster book, so the Spellweaver isn't really doing that much for us. My opponent's monster book takes out my Vampire, so that's a little bit awkward, but we're actually looking really strong here with the Sarcophagus, and then of course the Cat's Call. Plus Sark is going to make this battle quite easy. So 11 damage to the lobby leader, up to XP. Can't feel too bad about this one. We will pick up the Siren now, and then honestly don't hate just going for Merlin's Test. There's a few things that we could put it on, but throwing Merlin's Test on Medusa is generally pretty strong because that will mean that it will get to just immediately devour whatever it attacks into. So I like picking up the Merlin's Test here. I think that we are reasonably likely to win this combat. Then I'm locking onto a monster book, and might be a little bit late in the game to pick up the monster book for scaling, but it'll still be a fine unit. It's still an evil unit, and we need to find some way to spend our gold next turn. And then once we hit level 6, we'll probably look for pumpkins and additional scams. Could potentially look for trees because we've got the 2 XP up on the rest of the lobby. So there are definitely still a few options, but definitely with the Sark and Boots, we are set up pretty well to do some scams here. And I think that we are going to walk away from this combat with a win, but it's going to be close. Yeah, we'll get it with the Sark triggers in there too, killing John G once again. And now we're up against the Ghost for this basically final turn before we hit level 6. We'll go for a free roll, and then just roll down for a little bit. I probably could have picked up the Oni King, but just wind up rolling down and not buying anything. Not a huge deal. Would have been nice to add something to the board, but nonetheless, we are still really strong right now and about to be level 6. So that's where some more excitement will join the game for us for sure. Yeah, nothing too much to say here, just wrecking this Ghost a little bit. And then on tier 6, this is where, well, we see a Jormungand, and that's just a big unit, so I really don't mind picking that up. We do also have some Slay at the moment. We've got the Vampire, and we have the Siren, so it is gonna be good for us. It's a little bit weird because we're not really in Slay, but then we could be. We see Doombreath and we see Riverwash Mermaid, and here's where we move into this kind of like classic comp. Like I said, this is something that I don't feel like I've done for a little bit, and that's just grow a Doombreath with a Riverwash Mermaid. And the reason that you don't see this is because this is really a strategy that comes into play when you're up a bunch of XP. I'm locking the Drink Me potion as well for the next turn. But this is really only something that you can do when you're up a bunch of XP, because Doombreath is going to just be able to slay. And we only got one slay this turn, but importantly, we do have those Hermes boots, and that is going to allow us to just play a strong, like we get the first attack. So it's going to be able to keep the Doombreath strong, but we do have to grow this Doombreath a little bit more, and I like the Burning Palm. I'll go for Potion of Heroism and then Burning Palm because we are Merlin, and then I'll wind up rolling a little bit more. But the idea is, let's just throw a few spells on this Doombreath and get it to the point where it is slaying with the Riverwash Mermaid, and that's potentially 3 triggers onto Jormungand to start off our fights, which is really cool. And I'm eyeing up to take this Jormungand here to pick up another one, and I'm thinking if I do that, we could potentially slay with Medusa as well, and throw that in front of the Riverwash Mermaid. Then I'm also going to be locking for the Echo Wood and then another Drink Me potion just to get a few more Merlin triggers on the rest of the board. But I think that it's worth it to sell for Jormungand here. You're going to see that that winds up definitely paying off for us, and the Doombreath does great work. It finds the 1 in 4 to get 3 slays, so really fantastic work by Jormungand, by Doombreath rather. That's going to bring up my Jormungands up into the 80s, and then they are both going to be big enough to slay and win us the rest of this fight against the Pied Piper. So pretty sweet stuff. I now think with 18 attack, I mean, we'll still look for more off this Drink Me potion. Fortunately, we don't find anything. I basically would have cast any spell here that was able to give the Doombreath a little bit more stats. Turns out free roll does wind up giving Doombreath a little bit more stats regardless there. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm going to lock onto this shop. It's got a lucky coin, and then it also has Baba Yaga, which I think we can still do some work with at this point in the game and moving into slays. And typically, like I said, it is tough to move into slays at this point in the game, but when you are up that XP and you're just willing to cast all the spells that you find as Merlin, you can definitely still make it work. And it feels like this is a comp that I would have played when the game like first came out, or when I was first getting into the game and first learning. But especially right now, with how tempo oriented the game is, you can actually do a lot with some of those strategies that feel kind of reminiscent of early game strategies. Now, my opponent is going to get a slay with the Mummy, but we have some really large units thanks to the Echo Wood. Our Echo Wood is going to survive and win us that fight there. And then we're up against the Ghost. So, it tied us the fight, right? Yeah, so we're up against the Ghost now, and yeah, doing really good stuff. Because we're up against the Ghost, I am going to try to grow this Doombreath even more. We'll pick up a treasure for the Jormungand triple, and I'd love to put the Singing Sword or the Owls on the Doombreath, but I'm thinking this Mimic chest might be good. We can see this Wonder Waddle has boots, we can see the Potion Master has boots, I've got boots, and then Peter Pants also has Hermes boots, so Mimic Chest Boots is going to give us the +1 attack priority again and actually do something this game, which is kind of silly. but definitely relevant. And then just against the Ghost, I am just trying to grow my Doombreath as much as possible by supporting it with Baba Yaga as well. And we'll wind up locking onto the Pigomorph here, because that could definitely be nice for us as well. Doombreath will get the triple slay, which means that Court Wizard is going to triple attack, but the important thing there is that Doombreath just grew a whole bunch. It's actually a sextuple slay because of the Baba Yaga there. So really, really sweet stuff. The Baba Yaga growing the Doombreath a whole bunch. That's going to help keep it relevant for future fights. It's now up to 30 attack, which we love to see. And it'll go down to 27 attack, I guess, once we move it out of the Baba Yaga slot, because I definitely want to play 7 units where I can. We have the opportunity to pick up some more River Wish Mermaids here. I don't really need any tier 4 treasures, though. I would potentially like Horn of Olympus, but Horn of Olympus doesn't do anything with Mimic Chest. So I think that Ancient Sarcophagus, while it isn't doing much, is still fine. I'd like to replace it if possible, but I don't really need to replace it with a tier 4 treasure. So I am going to think about these River Wish Mermaids for a second here, but I think I just want another Jormungand, and you know what? I'll actually settle for another Baba Yaga. That will be pretty decent for us. I'll cut the monster book, and we're definitely getting first attack, so as long as Doombreath slays, our board gets to go crazy, and Doombreath does triple slay yet again, so that's going to make Jormungand huge, and it's also going to make Echowood huge, and then Jormungand will also get to attack. Great that we are playing up against a slay comp here, because that is just going to, or a summons comp rather, because that is just going to make slaying so easy for us. So we'll clean up against John G, and now we're potentially into the finals, yeah, against this Trophy Hunter. So maybe only one more battle of the game. A Mimic Chest Boots Dragon is really good against Trophy Hunter. It's good enough that I'm going to pick up another Lightning Dragon and just try to wipe out my opponent's entire back line, and then we get really lucky to find a Baba Yaga, and now we have Evil Eye Mimic Chest, and we are going to be starting this battle with a bunch of slays, so that's really good. I'm thinking slot 4 Medusa isn't that great, so maybe I will just Polywoggle this Medusa, and we wind up finding another Baba Yaga, so we'll throw that in as well, just to have a huge power spike on this final turn. And let's see what these dragons can do. That's going to take out Oni King. Then if Doombreath can attack into slot 2, it can wipe out the rest of their backline. So really fantastic stuff. Jormungand and Echowood both into the 1000s. Trophy Hunter's not going to be able to slay against that, and we are going to find the win. So that is it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. 100% chance to win there up on the top of the screen from the tracker, but it's definitely felt a lot more just like a classic game of Storybook Brawl. I didn't do anything that crazy, but then by the end was able to do something pretty nice, having a Jormungand and an Echowood up in the 1000s. So that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.